On this episode of TLC Connections, we're joined by Amy Lynch, ghostwriter, educator, and founder of Fernling Creative, to explore how subject matter experts can bring their knowledge to life through high-quality books. Whether you're a therapist, educator, executive, or entrepreneur, Amy walks us through the book development process and the team it takes to publish at a professional level. If you've ever considered writing a book but didn't know where to begin, this episode is packed with practical insights and encouragement to help you take the first step. We hope you enjoy the episode.
Welcome to TLC Connections, the podcast where educators, counselors, coaches, and community leaders come together to inspire change, one connection at a time.
Welcome, Amy.
Thanks, GT. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thrilled to have you here. We're going to jump right into it. My first question for you is, define ghostwriting. What is it? And talk about the continuum of services from like a writing coach all the way to kind of full service ghostwriting.
Right. Well, ghostwriting has a little bit of a mystique to it. And a lot of people just don't know the term ghostwriting. And it takes a lot of people by surprise when I say, well, I write books for other people, they sign their name and publish. I always get like big eyes, like, that's a thing? And that's an extreme case, but yes, that is a thing. So, but there is a continuum, you're exactly right. So on the far right is the case when somebody calls me and says, hey, I want a book on this topic, call me when it's done, here's a check. That's like the extreme side. And then the other side would really branch into book coaching, where someone says, I'm an expert in this field, like project management, and I want to write a book and I have a lot of ideas, but I don't really know where to start. I don't know how to get it out there. But I've been in this field for 20 years. I know a lot. I need help. So that's, the other end of ghostwriting, which really is like book coaching. And so, I will help a person to establish the table of contents. How is this book going to be laid out? What is the tone? Who are we writing for? So it's a lot of coaching. And then honestly, I write a timeline like homework and say, let's get a draft of chapter 1. And so maybe like I write interview questions for them. We know what we're talking about. We have the essence of the chapter established. So this is the main idea. So these are the 4 subtopics. So I want you to voice record yourself, just talk on these 4 topics in order and send it to me. And then they'll send that to me, and then I'll massage it and work it through and make it into a really high quality book chapter that reflects their expertise that they were talking about. So that's the continuum. And then, right in the middle would be somebody who comes with a manuscript and said, hey, I wrote this book. I don't know if it's any good. Help me decide. So that those are like the big points.
Where do you prefer to operate on that continuum? Like as a creative type, do you like the full service ghostwriting where you just go off in a corner and write it all and then you get a check later? Or do you like the coaching process? Right.
Well, both are really interesting. It is fun to have the free license to say, this is the main idea. We're going to write 50,000 words on this, go. And I'm just free to develop it from my own mind. I do enjoy that a lot. But all of my authors, GT, are high-level professionals in their field. So they're really interesting. They're people who have a ton of expertise. They are experts in their field. So it's also really enjoyable to talk with them, to interact, to go back and forth and say, well, I never considered that. Or would you add a personal story here and tell me more about this? People are going to find this interesting. So let's talk a little bit deeper. So the truth is, I do really like, I kind of like the whole gamut.
Amy, you mentioned that you had read, some of your clients are, or many of your clients are subject matter experts, right? And
all of them, yeah.
Yeah, all of them. And so is there any particular subject that you felt like through the book writing process, you learned a lot about? You went in knowing nothing, and coming out of the process, you became almost a subject matter expert yourself.
Right. Well, that is an occupational hazard, GT. I am forced, usually happily, but always forced to learn a ton, which I really like. It's being a lifelong learner. It's super interesting. So the truth is, I go in really deep on all these topics. But a recent one that I found really stimulating was I partnered with a woman who is a doctor. She's an Ivy League trained doctor, really, really intelligent and skilled woman, and she runs whole systems of hospitals. So she wanted to write a book, and we jumped into the project, and I thought we were talking about healthcare and just all of the issues. There's so many things that could be under the umbrella of healthcare. But what she really wanted to talk about was how young women, so the book is for women 25 to 50 who are childbearing age, how young professional women might navigate issues of motherhood and fertility and partnership or marriage alongside a highly professional career. So I just didn't see that coming. There was a lot of issues that are really new to the world. And she has very interesting perspectives and encouragement. And that book comes out in late this spring. And I really think it's going to help a ton of people and be very, very interesting. The woman herself is a Texan. She's a little on the wild side. She curses like a sailor. So the whole thing came together beautifully as a really stimulating piece.
So that sounds like a good client that was a overall positive experience. And are there any particular clients that came to you with a topic that you just had no interest in and it was like painful to get through the process? I'm just curious.
Yeah. I've fired one client only.
Okay. All right.
So you can fire employees, which I hate to do, but I actually fired one client because I felt like it was a bit of a bait and switch. We started a project that I thought was, and I understood from the client, was a history of Catholicism, which, I guess I'm not crazy about that topic, but it's a valid topic. But it turned into, there just was hate speech involved and things that I didn't see coming. Just a lot of ugly things started to appear in the writing, and I just couldn't participate. I couldn't ask my team. We're a team of 8, an editorial team of 8 people, and I couldn't put my team through that. And I just didn't think it was adding value to the world. And even though I'm being a gatekeeper, I didn't think it was something that should be published, and certainly nothing I could publish under my label.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. You mentioned your team. Talk about what kind of skill sets are needed in a firm like yours to do what you do.
Right. So it's a little bit of Henry Ford's assembly line, honestly. So there's 2 of us who are, I would label, expert writers, who we're first contact. We're manuscript creation. So 2 of us take the idea or work with the client to create a manuscript that's premium quality. And then after we stay with the client through the revisions. And when we're done, we're sure that the content is awesome. The content is amazing and ready to be refined and perfected. So after it leaves our first stage of expert writers, it moves on to a line editor who then goes through the work line by line. And she checks all kinds of stuff to make sure that there's a balance in the structure, sentence structure. Like that stuff actually matters. If the whole book is super short sentences, you feel like you're stuttering the whole time. If it's long and wordy sentences, you feel tired and weary. So she adds balance line by line. She makes sure there's not words repeated. There's a variety of vocabulary and improves every sentence line by line. From the line editor, it goes to the proofreader, who checks typos, errors, fact-checking, citations, make sure that it's like as close to perfect. The only manuscript I've ever seen that's actually perfect is the Bible. I've never seen an error in the Bible. The New York Times, I get about 4 a year. I read the New York Times. They're the best in the country, and they still make editorial errors at least 4 times a year. I'm the nerd that lets them know. But she, as close as is humanly possible, perfects the work. And then it goes on from her to Rob, who does interior layout and design. Another thing none of us realize is that how a book looks affects the way we feel about it. If it's solid black, it's overwhelming. if the margins are really small and the words go right to the edge, that's also disturbing. If you can't find what chapter you're on immediately because it's not at the top. Like the interior layout has a tremendous effect on the feel of the book. So it goes to interior layout. And then I have a graphic designer who does all the covers. She's a phenomenal artist. She works with the author and me. I function as creative director on that. And we get covers that are really engaging and meaningful and connected to the work. And then I publish it myself. We use Amazon KDP primarily because it's on-demand printing, and that is it's just a really efficient way to publish in today's world. But I also have a Spanish translator. A lot of our works get put into Spanish because there's a need for that. Some of my clients are international business people, and they have companies and contingencies in the Spanish-speaking world. I have a voice talent now, which I'm super excited about. He reads the audiobooks in a place like this, and he is very talented. All of us would know his voice. He's done really famous commercials, but he's looking to move into book reading instead of marketing commercials. And then I have a podcaster who will do author podcasts. And then I have a business planner who is a guru in entrepreneurial businesses and helps authors turn their book into business for like speaking engagements and consulting. So that is the team. I've added 2 illustrators this year because I have such a demand right now for children's books. Right. So I've added a digital artist and a watercolor artist to do some beautiful artwork, which is growing the team.
Yeah, as you talk about that team, I think of like the need for creative types, for sure, but also this need for this process-oriented, systematic, like high-level attention to detail. Those seem like 2 very different sets of skills. And like when I think of people, they typically are really good at one or the other, but not both. Do you feel like one is more important than the other? And as you look at your team, well-balanced? And how does the creative types, because creative types often want to, they can't get to, they don't operate well on deadlines. Let me say it that way.
Yeah. So true. It's so true. I've written a book recently myself, and so I have a publishing company who has said to me with bug eyes, month after month, they've never seen anybody ahead of deadlines before. So I would say you're spot on, GT. Creative types usually can't make small change, can't make a meeting on time, and all kinds of other problems like that. So I would say every person on the team hates my job. Every person on my team says, I want to work for you till my dying day, but don't ever make me be you. I think that I'm a fence straddler. I love meeting clients, strategizing, setting up the big process, and I'm just a drill sergeant on the timeline. We're always ahead of timelines. Now, working with illustrators has thrown me off my timeline, but that's the first time ever. I love to be on time. I love to achieve. If you're an Enneagram fan, I'm number 3, the achiever on the Enneagram. So I love getting through my to-do list. I love getting things done on time with as close to perfection as I can achieve. And I really derive satisfaction from that. But I'm a solid creative and always have been. So I think I got the half and half. Maybe, I don't know if they say that when you crawl a lot as a child, the hemispheres of your brain really connect. Maybe I was a big time crawler. I don't know. I have both sides, but you are right. The rest of the team is solid creatives and doesn't want business.
Do you find you and your company writing mostly nonfiction or fiction? And would you like to see more of a balance, more of one type versus over the other?
Those are good questions. I'm in a lane. And as a company, our whole team is in a lane. We write nonfiction for high-level professionals, and we're really good at it. So in our lane, I don't know that there's a better team. So, if you're like, books that that I've written for child therapists and doctors and people with PhDs. I write a lot with PhDs, CEOs, high-level professionals. I'm starting to do a lot with motivational speakers, TED talkers.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all experts in their field. So I've really got that down. But I think what makes me good at that is that I am a creative writer. So like journalists and nonfiction medical writers, they are highly talented people, technical writers, but they're not creative. So they could never swing over and write a dystopian novel. But creative writers can slide into nonfiction and actually do really, really well because they're looking for the creativity. They're looking to take something that might be straightforward, even dry, and bring it to life where it's really interesting to read, as interesting as it possibly can be.
Our podcast is for mental health, behavioral health specialists, but also for educators. And I understand that you were an educator at some point in K-12, and you just recently mentioned that you're in the university level as well. And so as an educator, what advice would you give to someone listening to try to instill that same passion to our youth, particularly around the classics? I mean, I have spoken to some language arts teachers who have expressed their frustration of getting today's youth that consumes knowledge, a few seconds at a time. They don't have the attention to sit down and read something like that. In fact, I have found a trend, at least anecdotally, don't know if this is true across the country, of moving away from the classics and into this more relevant period pieces that are relevant to that generation, with the goal of trying to, spark an interest in reading. And I'm wondering if maybe that's the wrong strategy. And so, anyway, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I would say to all educators, and you're right, I taught K-12 for many years, until recently, and I still teach one class a semester because being in education, as you know, puts you on the cutting edge of the field and the discipline. So that's really important to me. But for reading the classics, for reading period, I would say educators, we should all make that a top priority to keep fighting for reading, because in reading, we're exposing the students to the whole world, to people from China and Korea and Italy and the US, from all time periods. It's all there in books. And, I would say it connects us. People of faith feel connected to people of faith from centuries ago. And people who are in mathematics feel connected to the ancient mathematicians. Like, there's connection there, but you have to make the connection in order to get there. So I can tell you strategies I've used, which I kind of think, I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. I have a 19-year-old myself.
Okay.
And I read her Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Okay.
I read it on the phone to her. It's because youth today, and students and children and teenagers, what everyone does want is connection, friendship, attention, care, love, interest, and everyone loves stories. So I find that reading together and reading out loud in school settings and in homes is a way that we connect with one another. And obviously making choices of interest for the youth in particular is more important than interest to me.
Right.
Reading out loud together is really powerful for connecting to one another, for giving people stuff to talk about, for interacting, and just for showing care. Like, I see you, I know you, I think this is valuable, I think you're going to love this. So right now I have a 19-year-old where every night I record one chapter of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein on my voice memo, and I send it to her, and she's off at college, and before she goes to bed, she listens to that chapter. I read it to her.
Wow.
And we love it. She keeps saying, "Don't forget, Mom, don't forget to record chapter 21 today." And she is like a total Instagrammer. Digital media is her major, so she's solidly in the world you're talking about, a bit, sound bits and video bits. But she loves to take a rest, lay on the sofa, get cozy if she's at home, and I read a chapter. Here's the crazy thing. She brought the whole women's swim team. She's a women's swimmer. She brought the whole swim team home. I fed them, and they sat around, and I said, and these are all 18 to 20-year-olds. I said, hey, I'm reading this book to Sylvie. Do you guys want to hear it? And they said yes, and they still talk to her about it. When I see him at the swim meet, he says, remember when you read us that chapter? Kids like it. They like to be read to. And if we can choose stories, like if you have a really active child, you might choose like Horatio Hornblower. It's a British classic intended for 12 to 15-year-old boys who just want action, go, go, go. But it's also beautifully written and super thoughtful.
Right.
And carries themes throughout, but 12-year-old boys are all about it, like Jungle Book or Robinson Crusoe, like adventure stories. One of the best stories for, like, if you have an active kid, if you can get them a break, and something that I've done in classes was pass out like buckets of magnets and stuff where students can keep their hands busy. They can build little things with magnets. Or little tiny wooden blocks and stuff. So they're listening, but they're not bored. They're engaged. It's visual. It's an additional stimulation. So, as a K-12 educator, I was an AP Spanish teacher, and that's difficult for reading literature. But we found ways. We found if we read small portions, and then they love to talk. So we would talk about it. First, what happened? It was in Spanish. What happened, and what do you think about what happened, and did you like what happened? So just, I believe in reading out loud in the classroom at every single age level. High schoolers and college students love to be read to. I would encourage all of us as educators, keep on reading out loud, make wise choices that you think will engage that audience, and I'm pretty sure that it will.
That's great. I have one last question I want to ask you, and that is for those who are listening that might be thinking about a book. They've been thinking about it for months or years. There's people in my circle of influence, even in my family, who have had these thoughts even recently. What advice would you give to them, particularly around working with the ghostwriter, and or are just unsure of even where to start?
Yeah. So what I would say is if you're in that position, you have expertise or you have an idea. If it's fiction, I'm not your person. I'm not your ghostwriter. But if you're nonfiction, call someone like me because it's overwhelming. Writing books it's an overwhelming task. But like any enormous task, like if you're an expert in organizational leadership or project management or healthcare policy, which I have a book on that. Seems like it would be terrible. It's not terrible. One of my clients is an expert in medical policy, but we all need medical policy. Like it's valid and helpful, but why should he be an expert writer too? I'm not an expert in medical policy. I'm an expert writer. So those of you listening, if you're an expert in anything, you shouldn't be expected to be an expert writer too. I wouldn't say don't try if you want to, but most people don't get very far. Almost all my clients come to me with half of one chapter written. Said, I know so much about this, but I don't know how to get it down. Like I just started to talk about the day I was born. That's where most people start because it's a reasonable place to start. But someone like me, like all I do is write long form content, books. It makes sense to me. I know how to lay it out. I can sit down with you in 2 hours. We'll have a really workable table of contents. So call somebody like me and sit down. You need to do a book incubator where they'll listen to you. I'll listen to you and understand the idea, understand who it's for. There's deep work that has to be done before one sentence is written. So we'll do that deep work. Get it done. I'll help you. And then we're ready to go. Then it's like putting a GPS address in your car. Like nobody takes off out of their driveway in any direction when they're trying to get to someplace. Nobody does that. you have to put your coordinates, where you're going, in there. So that's what I do with people. I can help them put in the GPS coordinates. So we pull out of the driveway and we go in the right direction the first time, and we drive steadily in the right direction until we arrive at our destination. So the process I told you with that team before, we just got to work that process. And you just need somebody to help you at the beginning, which is very reasonable. If I break my leg, I don't try to fix it myself. I'm not an expert in that. I go to the expert who helps me. I still have to do the work of rehab and meds and all of that, but the right person helps me to get going in the direction I want to go. And that's what I do.
And if they want to learn more about your company in particular, your website is?
FernlingCreative.com. Fernling, Fernling, Fernling Creative, all one word, .com. And my contact is on there, and a little bit about the process and the different things we do, like something GT that everybody loves that I do. I kind of don't know, I've never heard of anybody else doing it. I bundle things for people, like, how like Progressive and and the insurance companies bundle your boat, your house, whatever.
Right.
I bundle stuff for people, and it's making their life so easy. So, if I was writing a book for you, I'd write the book for you on whatever topic it's on, transformational education or something that you're an expert on. Right. And then I write all your CEO blogs or your company newsletters. And then I write all your LinkedIn for 2 years, and I give it all to you in a big stack. And people who are CEOs are really busy. Doctors, experts, therapists, psychologists, they're busy people, but they want to create content that's in their expertise, that's on their brand and in their voice. And I just can bundle all that, because once I've done your book, I got you. Right. And I can do it all. And I just hand it over, and it's making people's lives more efficient and effective.
I'm so thankful for you and the time you gave us, knowing that you have a midnight deadline on, and this is a very busy time for you, and I appreciate you taking out some time for us. So
you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
TLC Connections is supported in part by the Lincoln Center for Family and Youth. Through education, counseling, coaching, and consulting, we empower people to make positive choices, meaningful connections, and transformational change. To learn more, visit thelincolncenter.com.